London, 1888. The streets are dark, wet, and silent. A woman is walking home alone. She's done this 1,000 times before. She knows every alley, every corner, every shadow. But tonight? One of those shadows moves. By morning, she's dead. Mutilated in a way that makes even seasoned police officers look away. No witnesses. No fingerprints. No name. Just a letter, sent to the police, mocking them. Signed with 2 words that would haunt the world forever. Jack, the Ripper. And here's the part that should terrify you: we still don't know who he was. To truly understand Jack, you need to understand the world he lived in. Whitechapel, East London, 1888. Imagine the most desperate, forgotten corner of one of the world's greatest cities. Narrow streets so dark, you couldn't see your hand in front of your face. The air was thick with coal smoke, filth, and the terrible stench of local slaughterhouses. Thousands of people were crammed into broken, decaying buildings that should have housed hundreds. Poverty was so brutal, so absolute, that tens of thousands of women sold themselves on the cold, wet cobblestones, just to afford a single bed for the night. This was Jack's hunting ground. And he chose it, deliberately. Because nobody cared about these women. Not the British government. Not the wealthy newspapers. Not even the police, at first. They were invisible. Forgotten by society. For over a century, historians have focused on 5 specific victims, known as the canonical 5. But many experts believe Jack's reign of terror started much earlier. Months before his first official murder, other women were found brutally attacked in the dark alleys of Whitechapel. Women like Martha Tabram, who was stabbed 39 times. The police dismissed these early crimes as random street violence. They didn't realize a monster was practicing his dark craft. Until August 31st, 1888. His first officially confirmed victim was Mary Ann Nichols. Her body was found in the early hours of the morning in a dark, gated alleyway. Her throat was cut so deeply, it nearly reached her spine. But that wasn't all. The killer had mutilated her body with terrifying, cold surgical precision. The horror was so great that when her own ex-husband came to identify her, he could only recognize her by the faded clothes she was wearing. The doctor who examined her body said he'd never seen anything like it in 30 years of medical practice. The East End was shaken, but nobody could have predicted the nightmare that was coming next. Just over a week later, on September 8th, Jack struck again. Annie Chapman. Her body was found in a small backyard at 5 in the morning. This time, the killer took things even further. He arranged her clothes and her tiny personal items, like a few cheap rings, in a specific way at her feet. It suggested he wasn't just murderous, he was theatrical. Like he wanted to send a message to the world. The police realized they weren't dealing with a common street criminal. They were dealing with a monster, who possessed deep medical knowledge. Around this time, the residents of Whitechapel started whispering about a strange figure. Rumors spread about a quiet, well-dressed man, carrying a black leather bag, walking through the fog past midnight. Anyone with a medical bag became an instant target of suspicion. Local mobs would chase anyone who looked out of place. The city began to panic. The newspapers started printing wild rumors. And then, the killer decided to introduce himself. A letter arrived at the Central News Agency. It was written in bright red ink, almost like dried blood. It was casual, confident, and completely playful. It mocked the police for their complete failure. And it was signed with a name that changed history. Jack, the Ripper. Then, came the night that broke the entire city. September 30th. The double event. In a single night, Jack killed twice, under the noses of hundreds of patrolling police officers. The first was Elizabeth Stride, found at 1 o'clock in the morning. Her throat was cut, but her body was not mutilated. Why? Because a local man driving a horse and cart entered the dark yard and interrupted the killer. Jack had to flee into the shadows, angry and unfinished. Just 45 minutes later, less than a mile away, he found his next target. Catherine Eddowes. This time, Jack let out all his hidden rage. He completely destroyed her face and removed her left kidney. The police were still examining the first crime scene when the second body was discovered. Jack was taunting them, walking right past them in the pitch-black fog. While escaping that night, Jack left a direct clue. A piece of Catherine's bloody apron was found near a stone wall. Above it, a mysterious message was written in white chalk, mocking the local population. But the police chief ordered it to be washed away immediately, fearing a massive racial riot. The clue was gone forever. And then, he stopped. For exactly 1 month. The silence was terrifying. The city was waiting for the next strike. And when he came back on November 9th, it was his most horrific act yet. Mary Jane Kelly. She was the youngest of the victims, and the only one killed indoors, inside her own small rented room. Because he was behind closed doors? Jack had hours. He had absolutely no fear of being caught. The police who entered that small room that morning saw things that defied human imagination. Some of those detectives never fully recovered from what they witnessed. The room looked like a butcher shop. And then, just like that, Jack the Ripper disappeared into thin air. Scotland Yard was completely overwhelmed. Over 300 suspects were investigated. Thousands of people were questioned. Special bloodhounds were brought in, but the thick London fog completely destroyed the scent tracks. Because people lost all faith in the police, the citizens of Whitechapel took matters into their own hands. They formed the Whitechapel Vigilance Committee. These were ordinary shopkeepers, bakers, and workers who patrolled the streets at night with clubs and lanterns. They even hired private detectives to do the job the police couldn't do. But even the citizen army could not catch a ghost. The letters kept coming. Dozens of them. Most were hoaxes from journalists looking for a cheap headline. But one letter chilled investigators to the bone. The "From Hell" letter. Unlike the others, this one was not signed Jack the Ripper. It was delivered in a small wooden box, directly to the leader of the vigilante committee. Inside the box was half a preserved human kidney. The writer claimed to have fried and eaten the other half. Medical analysis confirmed it was the exact same type of kidney stolen from Catherine Eddowes. Imagine the absolute horror of opening that box. The city of London was paralyzed with fear. Women refused to step outside after dark. The police commissioner resigned under heavy pressure from the public. But Jack was already gone. No arrest. No public trial. No closure for the victims. Just silence. So, who was he? Over 136 years later, the theories are still coming, and the debate never ends. Theory 1. Aaron Kosminski. He was a young Polish barber living right in the heart of Whitechapel. Records show he had a violent hatred of women, and heard voices in his head. He was institutionalized in an asylum shortly after the murders stopped. Scotland Yard privately named him their absolute top suspect. Years later, a DNA analysis of a bloody shawl allegedly matched Kosminski's descendants. But the scientific community remains highly contested about the results. Theory 2. Montague Druitt. A highly educated barrister and teacher. His body was dragged from the River Thames, just weeks after the last horrific murder of Mary Jane Kelly. Some investigators believed his own family suspected him of being the monster. He had basic medical knowledge, he lived near Whitechapel, and he vanished from history at exactly the right time. Was his suicide an escape from his own madness? Theory 3. Francis Tumblety. An American quack doctor who traveled the world selling fake medicine. He possessed a massive collection of biological specimens and a well-documented, violent hatred of women. He was actually arrested in London in November 1888, right around the time of the final murder. He managed to pay bail, and fled across the ocean to America before his trial. The FBI has openly called him a strong suspect. Theory 4. H. Holmes. One of America's first and most infamous serial killers. Holmes built a literal murder castle in Chicago. Modern researchers discovered that Holmes's travel logs show he was away from America, and potentially in London, during the exact months of the Whitechapel murders. His own great-grandson believes that Holmes and Jack the Ripper were the exact same person. He certainly had the medical skill, and the dark desire to do it. Theory 5. The Royal Conspiracy. This is the most dramatic and controversial theory of all. It suggests that Jack the Ripper was actually connected to the British royal family, specifically Prince Albert Victor, the grandson of Queen Victoria. The theory claims the murders were a massive, bloody cover-up organized by the Secret Service to hide a scandalous royal secret. That the highest levels of government knew the truth, and chose to say nothing to protect the crown. No theory has ever been proven. Every single piece of evidence has a counter-argument. Every suspect has an alibi, or the absolute absence of one. Jack the Ripper remains the most famous unidentified criminal in human history. Here's what stays with me about this case. Jack the Ripper didn't just kill 5 innocent women. He killed in a way that said, "I am smarter than all of you. I will walk past your police. I will write you letters. I will disappear. And there is absolutely nothing you can do about it. And he was right. 136 years later, we still don't know his name. So, I want to ask you something. After everything you've just heard, who do you think Jack the Ripper really was? Was he a mad doctor, a broken barber, an American monster, or someone hiding inside the royal palace? Drop your theory in the comments below. I read every single one. And if this case kept you up at night, the way it kept me up writing it, hit that subscribe button right now. Because next week, we're opening a cold case file that's even darker than this one. The case is closed. But the truth is still out there.